Oh, welcome to another video. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is David Balji, and what we do here at Impact Launch is basically we help online coaches to build an acquisition and sales system, build the system for them, coach them on how to use it. The key point here is we teach you about your own marketing so that you are in the driver's seat of your own business instead of being blinded and not understanding how to market, how to build an effective sales message. So, what you're about to watch is a client group call, right? It was just one of the clients that we had hop on, and we coached them through the sales objection of, I want to start at a later date. And so there's a lot of key points here that we go very, very in depth to, and I explain the reasoning behind why we do that and why we're saying that. So if I were you, recommend getting a pen and a piece of paper or iPad or something to write down and take some notes over. I recommend watching this video a couple times as well, just to fully grasp it. So if it does help you, let us know down below in the comments. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment down below. We'll be able to help you. But it's basically an inside scoop of what we do with our clients. So without further ado, enjoy the video. And also, if this did help you, please go ahead and share it with someone that you think it would also help, because at Impact Launch, we care about impact. So without further ado, enjoy the video. So you had a sales call, and the objection was that she wanted to start in a couple of months, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, after in the email, yes. On the call, it was I forgot what the first one was. I think she said like, "Well, yeah, I'll just need to take some time to think about it." And then when I pushed back, she said, "Well, I was like, I want to help you uncover that thought process." She said, "Well, I just need to take a look at my finances." And then that email that I sent
Okay. So, did you clarify what her occupation was?
you. Yeah, like, did I gather that is what you're asking, or
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, she's an operations manager for a software development company.
Operations manager. Okay. Um, and how much does she make?
That I don't know. I would assume, just from being in that industry and in that position myself, I would assume it'd be like entry level, like early six figures, somewhere north of 100K, maybe 105, 110. But that's just an assumption. I honestly don't know.
Okay. Did you qualify, or did you ask her how much cash on hand she has?
I didn't, and you know what? That's what I sort of added to my sales script after watching that video that you posted the other day, because I want to find a way to, like, not outwardly ask like how much money do you have, but it's just like how much are you willing, or how much are you allocating to like your personal development, or how much is
Yeah.
your, you know, investing in yourself, like how much is that worth to you, so that I
Yeah.
can put it into
Yeah.
perspective for them.
That's a good question. Because I showed you what we ask, right? Like, what budget do you have, what planned budget do you have allocated for solving such a challenge? Um,
Yeah,
but let me just take a look back at the message that we were talking about. So
yeah,
what she said was, first of all, I want to thank you so much. You ask very thoughtful questions. She had some time to reflect. Absolutely would love to work with you. Certainly see the benefits of the program. However, she can't start right away. And I want to engage with you when I can confidently carve out the required time for the most impact and need to budget for the expense. Now, I understand the financial aspects and timeline of the program. I can better plan for it. She wants to follow up towards the end of September. We're in the end of July. To
yeah.
see if you have ability to re-engage into that. So I would get her on the phone, obviously, and say, like, because you mentioned to me that she talked about her inability to make
Yeah,
decisions.
and indecision was her biggest roadblock. That's what we uncovered.
Okay. So I would get her on the phone and, chat her up a little bit, give her, some rapport or whatever, and be like, so I want to talk about your email. Um, you mentioned to me on the call that one of your biggest roadblocks was the indecisiveness of making decisions, right? And so and then get her permission and say, if I could be honest with you, it seems like that's a repeating behavior that's stopping you from achieving what you want to be achieving. Meaning, I see that repeated behavior coming in on this call too when you're trying to make a change. So if we were to work together, you and I are going to work specifically on this ability to make indecisive decisions, because clearly it's what's preventing you from growth, from, and then describe what her actual goal is of, finding her passion, her purpose, and whatever it is. Clearly it's stopping you from doing that. Right. And
Right.
so then you want her to realize that and say, um, I would also, well, yeah. And then I would also ask her, like, what's going to change between now and the end of September that's going to allow you to do this?
Right.
And then she would say something like time, most likely, right? Or
Yeah.
focus. And then you could say, okay, well, how much time every day are you able to allocate towards actually solving this? Because it's clear that, yes, it's coming up in like your decision making process, almost every area of your life too, right? So like
Right.
with the other stuff that you're trying to achieve, this is just a repeating behavior. It's a repeating habit that's instilled into your brain. And in order for you to do better, to reach your passion or whatever the goal she mentioned is, you have to be able to solve this. So you see how I'm working with her through the problem,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Helping her uncover that in her own mind. That was actually one of the things that stood out to me about the Jeremy Minor videos yesterday is that it's like he posed a question where it was like in your mind, and I think that alone is a perspective shift because it's like this is in your head almost this block.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a few questions. One, how do I get her on a call, right,
Mm.
from that email? And then two, I guess my concern, or not really concern, but like my objective is how do I have this conversation with her without one seeming desperate, two seeming too pushy or salesy. I guess that's where I'm at.
Okay.
It's
Good
one, how do I
question.
get on the call? And two, when I'm on that call, like how do I actually have that conversation without even seeming combative? Because I recognize that I have to do that as a coach and as a kind of a business putting the business hat on to help her uncover that roadblock. But I also, you also don't want to tell somebody like you see, like this is the reason that you're holding yourself back because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're not receptive to it. So yeah,
Good
that's on me.
questions. So the first one's very easy. I could just send you up an email that says like, hey, honestly, I have some thoughts about that. Do you mind hopping on a quick 15-minute call? Simple.
Cool.
And then you could say, look, I mean, would you mind hopping on a quick 15-minute call? I think there's a benefit that could definitely help you out or something like that.
Yeah.
The other question is how to not seem combative or desperate or,
Like
that
pushy.
you're pushy, right? So the best thing to do is just number one, asking questions. And then the second thing is your body language. So when
Mm,
you're in a meeting, right, and you're being interviewed or, you're going to someone else for something.
right.
Usually they're kind of quiet. They'll sit back on their chair, right? They're listening. That's one of the things that you're going to do. You're going to sit back in a chair. You're just going to listen, but you're going to have a slow tone of voice. You're going to keep it calm, just like kind of like how I'm doing right now. Um, and you're asking questions to help her realize that she needs the solution, and what she's saying doesn't make any sense because it's clear that what she's saying does not make any sense. That she said she has a problem with indecisiveness, yet she's using that there. So you
To hold
ask
her back.
her
Yeah.
and you let her answer. So you would say, okay, no problem. You told me that, just repeat it. Like you told me word for word, you told me that you kind of had, don't say problem, say challenge. You kind of had a problem, or you kind of had a
Yeah.
you kind of had
Yeah.
a challenge with being indecisive on making decisions. And if I'm going to be honest with you, it seems like that's a reoccurring behavior because that's what I'm kind of getting at this right now. Um, Now there's a couple things for that. First, you want to clarify why she said that.
Hmm.
So the first thing is like, okay, no problem. So I read your email. I'm just kind of curious, like why the end of September? What's so specific about that time? Okay.
Right. Okay.
Oh, we're going on this trip or something. Okay, no problem. We'll use the objection handling tactic that I told you about, the vacation one. That's
Yeah.
the other thing is like, okay, no problem. When will you be back? Right? Kind of, like you can't really control the vacation one.
Right.
Uh, if she says something like, the time has to be right. Okay, well, what's going to make the time right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's just a limiting belief. Like you could just smell the bullshit. People like
Yeah.
she's gonna have the limiting beliefs, hence why she's on the phone with you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What about if she says something like, which I don't know, honestly, I don't know what else is going on in her life, but what if she says something where it's like a health or something like somebody in her family, and she's like too pressed on time with that and focusing on that and waiting on things to lighten up a little bit? Because I could see that almost being the case, but I just don't know. It's just an assumption. But
yeah, so that you can't really control. Like I had a
right.
client that joined for like 2 weeks and then they said like they're on, went to the hospital and now they have to like take care of them and they can't
Yeah.
continue with the program because they're moving to a completely different state and whatever. I said, all right, no problem. It's nothing I can really do about that.
Right.
Um,
Pick back up.
yeah, exactly. So, and if they're making up bullshit, that's their problem. You're not going to want
Right.
to climb because then they're not going to perform. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Absolutely.
you want to figure out what it is. You want to ask them, say, I'm just kind of curious. Like you threw out that time, late September. What's so specific? What's so interesting or whatever?
Yeah.
What's happening
What's
then?
gonna change then? Yeah.
What's going to change by then, right? Um, and then you can actually handle that objection
Right.
from there because you want to know the reason. You want to know what they're talking about in order to be able to handle it.
Yeah. Does something come to mind for you right now of what she might say and how to handle that objection?
I haven't seen the call, nor do I know
Yeah.
her, nor do I know her occupation or
Right.
anything like that. But it just seems like her past decision making process
Just
just from
getting in her way.
reading
Yeah.
that email, right?
Yeah.
um, and so that it's very common. It's very, very, very common, especially like with clients that come in to us. There's a lot of limiting beliefs that they have, right?
Yeah.
And you could just see it with the way they talk, and that's why they're coming to us, but they don't really realize it, right? So your job as a
Right.
coach is to pick that up. The biggest thing I will say when you're trying to give that kind of advice, where you're trying to be upfront and honest, you
Mm-hmm.
have to ask for permission so that you don't catch them off guard. So you say
Right.
something like, Jane, do you mind if I be upfront and honest with you here for a sec? And you say, look, my job as a coach is to guide you and to look out for you and to be that third person perspective. So I would be doing a disservice to you if I wasn't upfront and honest. So do you mind if I do that for you here for a sec? And they're going to agree to it. And
Right.
then obviously don't unleash like like,
Yeah.
like a whole thing on them.
Tell them about them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but go very easy with them. And say,
Yeah.
I mean, from what you're telling me of the indecisiveness, it seems like this is a reoccurring thing, and this is what's happening in our conversation here today. That um, obviously, if she tells you the excuse is like bullshit, like oh the timing has to be right, like that's a
Yeah.
bullshit excuse.
Yeah.
You could say like, look, I could see the indecisiveness coming into this conversation as well, right? And so if you continue on this path, it's going to transcend into every other area of your life. You know what I mean? You're just
Right.
coaching them through. I don't know. I'm just kind of making up scenario
Yeah.
situation because I don't know what her situation is. I don't know the
Right.
exact combo, how to broke it down. But that's how I would do it. I would first figure out, like I would write this down. So I would first get on the phone with her.
Mm-hmm.
I would figure out what exactly she means, get clarity on that.
Okay.
Okay. And
Get
then
clarity on what she needs.
ask her if you could be upfront and honest. There's number two. Okay. And then ask her the right questions to let her come to the conclusion that she's being
Yeah.
indecisive and that she needs to take action.
Okay. She being okay.
Like
And now,
real quick, you can ask her,
yeah.
say, look, I mean, do you feel that your current decision making process of delaying things and whatnot is also going to help you, or it's going to prevent you and hold you back in the future with other areas of your life?
Right.
Do you think like ask her that and let her answer it? Do you think
Right.
it's going to do this or that? And if she cannot answer truthfully and honestly, she's not the ideal client because you don't want that.
Right.
It's just going to be a headache.
Right. yeah, if they can't be truthful right now, they won't be with themselves throughout the program. That's a great question. I wrote it down with an asterisk.